As days pass, John becomes a sensation in New London. He goes to constant parties, draws attention from women, and even the alphas are fascinated by him. At one party, he gathers a group of alphas and talks about his old life in the savage lands, even inventing wild stories about killing many people at once. Hearing this, they start to see him as a dangerous savage no one should cross. The fame soon wears him down. Even with all the attention he thought he wanted, life feels empty and repetitive. John realizes people only come near him because he entertains them and boosts their social standing as the barbaric savage, not because they care about who he really is. After one party, when he and his handler Bernard are about to go home, John says he wants to wander and see the city. Bernard warns him it's unsafe to go alone, but John insists he'll manage. Once Bernard leaves, John takes the metro to the last stop and unexpectedly runs into Lenina. She is the only one who treats him like a person instead of a sideshow, so he decides to take her on a date. He leads her to the Epsilon sector, where people are supposed to have no feelings or opinions. John has no Indra chip, so no one can track him, but rule-following Lenina feels it's risky. He persuades her to remove her chip, and together they slip onto the Epsilon train and ride out. They arrive in vast green fields where tech is minimal. John stares at the landscape and tells Lenina that heaven was always here. They were just blind to it. When they step off the train, Lenina grows anxious and begs to go back, but John wants to stay. He says he relates to the Epsilons. Back in the savage lands, he was bullied and treated like a loser, yet at least people there had opinions and could choose their own path. In New London, everything must follow Indra's rules, which he finds suffocating. Meanwhile, Bernard hears from John's assistant Gary that John never came home. Panicked, he searches everywhere but can't find him. That evening, he and the other Alpha Pluses attend a banquet celebrating the new director, Henry. John is expected as entertainment, but Bernard lies that the savage has morning sickness. During the feast, Henry gives a polished speech. Then Bernard stands and tries to outshine him, bragging about his trip to the savage lands, getting shot, driving a car, and being John's closest friend. The crowd, including Watson, finds him cringeworthy and asks him to sit down. Back in the Epsilon territory, John and Lenina keep exploring. John picks a peach from a tree and tells her this is real freedom. Anyone can grow food, hunt, and enjoy what they've earned. Lenina doesn't fully grasp it, but is fascinated. John closes her eyes and asks her to imagine a world where people have free will and aren't ruled by something like Indra, then suggests they go catch fish. That night they sit by a waterfall trying to fish, but in the passion of the moment they start kissing and eventually have sex under the full moon. A relationship is born there in the wild. Elsewhere, a drunk Bernard sulks in his room while Watson consoles him, saying he is important. Bernard complains that nobody notices him. Watson replies that if you want attention you must do something new, but once it becomes routine, people stop caring. Her comment sparks an idea in Bernard's mind. Later, John returns home after his night with Lenina. As he heads to his room, Bernard stops him. He doesn't ask where John was. He simply says, "It's over." John is puzzled until Bernard explains that the parties, fun, and attention are finished. No one finds him special anymore. He's just a savage. John's anger rises and he warns Bernard to shut up, but Bernard keeps talking, pushing their fragile friendship toward a breaking point. As personal assistant Gary watches, Bernard and John start fighting. It's actually Bernard's stunt to get attention, because through Gary's Indra feed the whole of New London is watching. John isn't on it, and lets Bernard land a few punches so it looks real. By the next day, John and Lenina are officially seeing each other. Lenina isn't used to the word dating, since New London revolves around one-night stands. But John tells her not to worry and says things will work out in time. As she leaves, she hands him his old MP3 player from the Savage Lands. John switches it on and gets emotional hearing Real music again after months. Outside, Lenina slips her Indra chip back in, hiding their relationship, and heads to work happier than she's been in a long while. Later, when John returns from wandering the city, Bernard invites him to a party hosted by the famous arch songster, the man who composes all of New London's wordless music. John, already sick of parties and shallow attention, refuses at first, but gives in when Bernard promises it will be the last one. Meanwhile, Mustafa Mon senses something is wrong. She walks through forbidden areas to an old, ruined Soma factory filled with dormant computers. These are what really control the city, not Indra. Checking the system, she finds several databases tampered with. Her daughter Lisa appears and admits she changed them because New Londoners have become dull and pointless. Mon discovers Lisa has altered a critical Indra-linked database that now allows people to do the previously unthinkable. Bernard and John dress up and go to the arch songster's party. A game called Frolic is planned, where alphas chase betas and have sex with anyone they catch. Bernard is thrilled to play. John, thinking only of Lenina, wants no part of it. They meet the arch songster, who is disappointed that John is not a huge, terrifying brute, but small and slight like an epsilon. The insult angers John, but he holds back. Once the game begins, Bernard and John move into the woods. John tries to explain that this isn't real living. People should be free to choose someone, date them, build a life together, and have children, but Bernard can't grasp it. So John breaks it down more simply. First you find someone interesting, then you date them, and from there you choose a shared life. an idea completely alien in New London. By the end of the day, John says, a couple can decide if the other person is right for them. He tries to explain more, but aboard Bernard puts on his game mask and runs off to hunt betas. John wanders through the woods alone and suddenly spots Lenina having sex with an alpha. Crushed, he can only watch. The next morning he tells her how much it hurt him, but Lenina insists she was only following the rules. John begs her to forget the rules and live freely, but she says it isn't that simple. If she'd refused the alpha, Indra would have noticed, exposed their secret relationship, and caused even bigger trouble. The following day, Bernard unexpectedly calls Lenina to his room and asks where she always goes when she goes private. Before she can answer, he abruptly asks her out. It's clear he's copying John's idea of dating and trying to start something savage style. Lenina loves John and doesn't want another relationship, but she feels that saying no will expose her, so she reluctantly agrees. They fly by private jet to a secluded island set up for a perfect romantic dinner. Bernard is invested, but Lenina keeps thinking of John and can't keep up the act. Seeing her distraction, Bernard explodes, orders her out, and then breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, John can't find Lenina anywhere and ends up in the Epsilon section looking for a beer. When the server refuses him alcohol, he smashes a glass. The Epsilons instinctively rush to clean up, but John stops them and rails against the system. Alphas live in comfort while Epsilons do all the dirty work like slaves. He urges them to stop being obedient Epsilons and start acting like real people. As he turns to leave, C-Jack-60 smashes his own glass, and soon all the Epsilons follow, wrecking the place and signaling the start of a revolt. Later, John and Lenina finally reunite, and it's an emotional moment. But John is exhausted by constant pain and confusion, so he goes to Helm Watson for help and asks if she can change a person's memories. She says she can, and the episode ends with John at last accepting an Indroid chip, ready to let the system rewrite his mind.